It can travel anywhere in time and space.
Right. This is gonna be fun.
Off we go.
Into time and space!
Welcome to Time and Space, the Nerd Party's dedicated Doctor Who podcast. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her husband and co-host, Philip Gilfus. Well, while this is the second episode of January, we will, of course, talk about our January book.
Yes! I think it came in like the day after
we
recorded last time. So,
but yes, Dr. 13th, the
13th.
last, I suppose, in our Dr. Mr. Man series.
Yep.
So,
unless we have other Christmas episodes.
Or a New Year's.
Or a New Year's episode, yeah. Yes.
So what did you think of Dr. 13th?
It was exactly what the show has been.
Exactly.
It was all about Yaz's birthday, which was really exciting, and then Yaz wasn't in it at all.
Nope. I think she had 2 lines in the episode that was about her.
Yep. I was like, yeah, that's typical.
13 got to encounter different classic Who monsters.
Yes, because she's going off and searching for things for Yaz's birthday party, like balloons and a cake, and
it was sort of almost like going through New Who, because it was sort of like for the balloons, went to the Blitz to get the balloon things, I forget what they're called, that disrupted the Luftwaffe. Like that was from 9's Captain Jack episode. Yep. I guess that was a 2-parter, I suppose. And then the cake was from the Centaurans.
Yeah.
And then there was something else I thought was a 10th Doctor reference. And anyway, but it was sort of interesting as she popped about. And then you had the Graham and Ryan in it, so you had the whole TARDIS team.
Except for Yaz.
Yeah. Except for the beginning at the end.
Yes, yeah, she sort of bookended the whole thing.
Yeah.
Bless her heart.
Yeah. Hopefully the next season's just all about her.
Yes. Yes, it's called Dr. Yaz.
Yes, who?
Yaz who. Yep. What else have we done that's Doctor Who related?
Well, we listened to a Big Finish recently. It was on the freebie catalog, so that was why I got it. But also it was the 5th Doctor, who I'm generally a fan of. And so this was Cuddlesome, a Big Finish story, which I guess is technically not a Christmas special, but it was sort of Christmassy in that it was about a attacking toy.
Okay, all right. I didn't read Christmassy into it at all. But
they're all looking for the big toy or the new toy.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, this was
Cuddlesome.
Exactly, Cuddlesome, and so this was released around 2008. So this is an older one. And it was in CD form way back then. But anyway, it was the 5th Doctor, basically investigating the attack of the deadly Furbies.
Yep.
Who then turned into attack of the Bart Simpsons.
Furbies.
Yes.
The Bart Simpson Furbies.
Yeah, it was generally, you got what you paid for. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't bad. I would have paid a little bit more for, as far as quality. But no, with the 5th Doctor, though, who I generally like, and I thought he was very 5th Doctor-y in this. I thought, Davison sounded like his younger self. There were no companions, or at least the ones that generally are the 5th Doctor companions. He sort of picked up a companion in this story.
A cougar companion.
Yes, behave. But anyway, but I guess I always do like a little tip of a hat that you at least mention where all the other companions are, because the 5th Doctor generally was never alone. So it's just sort of been like, I don't know, where that would have been in the timeline. I mean, was it pre-Perry, or was she off shopping for aerobic wear?
Yes. Or bikinis. Or...
Yeah. But what'd you think of the story?
Yeah, I found it a little confusing. I did think it was quite interesting that it sort of starts, the Doctor makes his appearance by breaking the woman's greenhouse. And we listened to another one that was kind of similar to that, didn't we? Where he lands and breaks somebody's house. Like ages ago.
I think it was the first one we ever listened to.
Yeah, maybe.
Where it was all the doctors. And maybe we'll have been the 5th Doctor, because I was trying to remember. Because it was the first one we bought. And I can't remember, so I'm sure it's over there if I went over there and looked. But anyway, I think it was something like that. Someone, like, it fell on the roof or something like that.
Yeah, so I thought, well, that's an interesting trope they're building.
Yeah, it's like the 11th Doctor in the shed. Amy shed.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found this one hard to follow for some reason, and I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I mean, annoying in that all the Cuddlesomes, the Bart Simpson ones, were annoying. But
Yes.
But other than that, I thought it was an interesting...
And kind of random. Like, I didn't understand why all of
choice.
a sudden the Cuddlesomes had become Bart Simpson Furbies.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was never really justified. But...
Anyway.
Worth a listen. Worth a listen.
Yeah, and it is interesting also when these things come out, how they can sort of predict future storylines. Because this is almost like the Snowman storyline, the 11th Doctor Christmas special with the Great Intelligence. And I forget the character's name. But Richard.
Yeah, Richard.
The very famous
Grant. Richard E. Grant.
Yes.
I knew I'd get there eventually.
But, yeah, we thought we'd talk about this week, considering we're sort of coming off of our 13th Doctor series, and we just wanted to stay with her a little bit longer before going off into different angles, and maybe talk about how the 13th Doctor is, or isn't, like her previous incarnations.
She's not a man.
Okay, well, there's one. Put that on the board. Okay, on our invisible whiteboard here.
Yes.
So, pro like the other Doctors, con like the other one, you're putting...
Not a man.
2 X chromosomes.
Yes. Yes. Missing a Y.
If you will. So, yeah. So, we'll see how many Doctors we get through. We're probably not going to try to go through all of them, because that would be a really long show, and we try to keep things brief. So, let's start at the beginning, which is a very good place to start, with the first Doctor. So, and you know, I know we've seen different amounts of these different Doctors, but you've got a taste, at least, of all of them.
Yep.
So, as much as you know from the first Doctor, and you've seen enough, what do you think of how 13 is like 1 or isn't?
Well, I think one of the ways that she's like 1, and I think that this comes in probably a little later in his tenure, but he's always very tender with Susan.
Right.
And I think that she's like that with her companions.
Mm-hmm. Treats all the companions like her granddaughter.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
she does call him fam.
That's true. That's true. I mean, certainly it seems like it's very easy to distinguish them. You know, the first Doctor can generally be the crabby old man, even though he's the youngest of all the Doctors. And he's in black and white, which is different, I think.
Yes.
Good point. 13's very colorful.
She does appear to be in color.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that was a stylistic choice?
Well, I think they decided not to go to too classic Who as a callback. So
they do both meet Daleks.
That's true.
This is the first Doctor gets the first Dalek experience. Mm-hmm. So,
but yeah, I think I don't know. Trying to, one, which always weird to call him that. It's the first Doctor, but we call her 13, right? But one, I think does often have, even though when he's not being old man, because like many Doctors, but him especially, he's either old manny or childlike. Sort of playing with his things, all that sort of, even though he swings back and forth, I think that joy and wonder and adventuring. I mean, the first Doctor sort of does have the TARDIS on randomizer, even though he will not admit that. So, but he's always up for investigating and looking, which I think that's always, of course, the Doctor, but that's when you're 1, you'd have to establish these things.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Well, and of course, possibly the biggest comparison is that the first Doctor was the first Doctor.
Right.
And so he set a lot of standards, and 13 is the first woman Doctor, and she's going to set standards that any Doctor, obviously, but particularly any female Doctor in the future is going to have to live up against.
Mm-hmm. Comfortable wardrobe.
Comfortable running shoes.
That's right.
Pockets! Yo, pockets.
Yeah. And I think also maybe with the companion collection, I would, and not to skip ahead, but I was listening to Verity podcast, as I want to do, and they were talking about how new Who Doctors seem to be more about, I've selected you, you're the best, or you're this kind of, companion, and you're above everyone else, and you're special, whereas the first Doctor just sort of, people would wander in there, or he would just pick them up, and and that's it. And so 13, I think she didn't select her companions
Yeah,
per se.
I mean, we don't have the impossible girl and the girl who waited and all of those sorts of bad wolf.
Yeah. And so I think, with her companion collection, sort of like the first Doctor, just come and go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they haven't gone yet, hopefully, with 13, and hopefully not for a little bit, but I suppose all change must come.
And a little bit like, just to jump ahead, a little bit like the 10th Doctor, when he picks up Donna, that's pretty random. There was no intent there.
Yeah, she just appears.
Yeah, and then, of course, ends up with Grandpa. So...
So what do you? How does Williford compare to Graham?
Oh, yeah, Wilfred.
Yeah, Wilfred.
Oh, the same sense of delight. They're having, I mean, obviously Graham is grieving, but they both have sort of a real sense of delight.
I feel like Wilfred would bring his own food.
Oh God, yes.
Bring out his thermos.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring out his thermos and his sandwich wrapped in paper. Yes, he would.
See, now we have to do a companions compared to other companions.
Oh yeah,
so
that'd be fun.
Yeah, well, skipping, I guess, to 2, the second Doctor.
No recorder.
I did notice she does not seem to have a musical instrument.
I'm getting good at this.
Yeah. Also, appears to be in color, 13 still, as I think about it.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Yes. Again, do you think it was a stylistic choice to separate her from the second Doctor?
A little bit. People don't want to be too comparative to it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. What have your impressions of the second Doctor been so far?
He's the one who's always, and I think that we've talked about this, and I think that there have even been discussions about it. He's the sort of Charlie Chaplin-esque.
Right.
And I think that in that sense, this Doctor has some of that. That sort of floppiness and, what's happening and what's going on. Oh, I know, I've got this.
No. Yeah, and I also think, and this is going to be a weird thing to concentrate on, but their pants are similar. But they're clownish pants in a way. Mm. And that allows them a little more freedom of movement than some of the other Doctors who are a little bit more formal. Whether it's in a formal sense or in a affectation that I'm crazy, but I'm dressed formal. But those kind of, suspenders, not that that's necessarily what the second Doctor's wearing, but those, because he's sort of wearing the first Doctor's, but they're too big for him. Mm-hmm. So, but the sort of wearing those sort of pants that allow movement do allow more, pratfalls is the wrong word, but that sort of
physicality.
Grander, yeah.
Physicality.
So I think she might have a physicality similar to the second Doctor.
Yes. Yeah, because 11th Doctor has boatloads of physicality, and we've talked a lot about it, because I think it's all brilliant, but it's not the same. Mm-hmm. Again, because his clothes, he was sort of into the narrower trousers, and, everything fits him better, but, 13 and 2 have that in common, this bumbliness, that their clothes allow them space to move.
And I also feel like second Doctor is sort of manic. Well, I guess they all are in a way, aren't they? But he's sort of manic in that he can be very smart and thinking about things, but he could also be like this, and I don't know what's going on. And he's the only Doctor who I think screams.
Okay.
And can get away with it.
Yeah.
I don't think any other Doctor can sort of yell and scream and fright, but he can do it, I think, and the only one who really doesn't. But I think, I always then think of 13, of course, with the crinkly nose, and they're like, well, what? What are you trying to say? Or, well, I think that's going to happen, and so she sort of also has more broad reactions than a few of the other Doctors. I mean, again, 11 might be another example there, but she is very broad in her reactions sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. Subtlety is not her thing.
No, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Or at least, that's her.
So maybe it's this openness.
Yeah. And then again, I'm trying to think with the companions, I still sort of get a welcomeness, because it's mostly what, you have Ben and Polly, and then you have Jamie, and then you have sort of the rotating young ladies, Victoria, and I can't remember all of them on the top of my head, sorry. The one who's not Victoria. Right, there, I said it. Now I want to see the 13th Doctor episode where there's two of, she has to face with an enemy who looks exactly like her.
Oh, yeah. Only a different accent.
Now with the third Doctor...
Not stuck on Earth.
Well, she's been on Earth a lot of episodes.
But not stuck there.
Isn't she inside, maybe?
Don't make this weird.
Nose.
They both have noses. Yes, yes. Oh, you're getting good at this, baby.
Well, no, 13 I still always see as my weakest. And I'm actually want to pitch to you the idea of actually watching third just straight on. Because it would be almost a first for me.
Okay.
With you as well. So, yeah, because I feel like he's the Doctor I'm the weakest on. You know, he's a more action-y Doctor. Of course, she had her action moment in the first episode of jumping on the beams. And
Yep. We get science-y with him, particularly with...
In the lab.
Yeah.
Unit.
And is it Joe Grant who's the...
assistant.
Yeah. Got her GCSE in science or something. So, yeah, we get some science-y, more science-y minded stuff with him. Possibly not in the detail that we get with 13, but the idea that the Doctor is a scientist.
Yeah, because again, maybe it's because he has the unit lab. Like if you had the third Doctor play, well, actually there's a third Doctor playset. But anyway, if they're also, you know, the third Doctor playset should be in the unit lab, and I think we saw with 13 when she was like explaining the antimatter drive to. I don't think she was explaining it to Yaz. Maybe it was explaining it to Yaz.
That's what Yaz is there for, isn't
exactly.
she? So, yeah. I mean,
no, she's there to have a story about her.
Yes. And also to be Doctor-splained, too.
Yes. And then go, yeah.
This is...
Yeah. That's what they call her, Yaz.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Because I don't, in some ways, I'm thinking about broadly, because the first and second Doctors tend to have more of the fam aspect. They didn't necessarily have single companions. They always had 2 or 3, you know. So the third Doctor is really the first one where we kind of went single.
Well, you say that, but then doesn't he
Well, he has the unit crew.
Yeah, including, what's his name? Brigadier. The Brigadier.
Yeah, well, yeah, the unit crew. Yeah. So Sergeant Benton, Yates... Benton, I can't remember all of them. But anyway, yes.
Brigadier.
Yes, and
Let's
the
go
Brigadier.
Brigadier.
Yes. But then he was more likely to be, you know, have the, can't remember all of his, Joe, and then Sarah Jane, of course. You can't blank
There's another one.
Yeah, Liz, sorry. See, I tell you, he's my weakest. But yeah. So.
Yeah.
But he certainly seems to care about, being on Earth. Cares about the human beings, and 13 does as well.
Yes.
So even though 3 can be a little sexist at times, I'm just thinking when he first met Joe, and like, oh,
yeah.
you.
Well, Pertrude was a Navy guy or something, wasn't he?
Yeah. So
there you go.
Had his Popeye tattoo or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, as we learn more about 3, maybe we'll learn more how 13 is like him as well. And then the 4th Doctor. This is obviously one we know a little bit more about. Mm-hmm. So the 4th Doctor, obviously there's always a lot to say about him, but how is he like the 13th Doctor or vice versa?
Well, the little Doctor...
Are you going to say no scarf?
No scarf!
Except for Resolutions, where she was wearing a scarf at the beginning. Which I think is funny, because, it's like, in the promo pictures, and then even just a little bit of the episode, because to be honest, she didn't actually wear it that much at the special. Yeah, everyone just wore scarves for the scene where they visited all the New Year's Eves.
Right, because New Year's Eve.
Eves,
yeah. Plural.
News Year's?
Eve? News Year's Eve.
Newsies.
Don't, because we've just had the Golden Globes yesterday, and Christian Bale won an award, and apparently everybody's always surprised when Christian Bale stands up to get an award because he's British.
Welsh.
Yeah, he is Welsh. Yes. Yeah, but that's in the British.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, "Oh my God,
he's talking all weirdy.
Why is he accepting his award in a fake British accent?" Bless.
And being crazy. It's because he's washed.
Yeah.
That's obviously why.
Exactly. These are people who clearly did not start at the beginning of Christian Bale's career. Ooh.
What would be his beginning?
Ooh.
I remember watching these in China, some movie.
Yeah, Empire of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun. I
Yeah,
didn't
with
watch
John
it.
Malkovich. But yeah, he's British in that.
Yeah.
So-
I remember finding that not an exciting movie because someone forced me to watch it.
Oh, I quite liked it.
Maybe it's a girl movie.
I don't
Which is
think
weird.
it is.
Except all the,
Prisoners of War, and he's a little boy, so it's not like you watch it and go, ooh, and you never look at John Malkovich and go, ooh. So, yeah, no, I don't think it's a chick flick by any stretch of the imagination.
I found it, maybe because it was a little more long and boring, I guess, anyway. Too.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I liked it enough that then I went back and read the book.
Okay.
But yes, he gets his breakout role in another completely underrated performance in Newsies.
Oh, okay.
But by then, he's pulling a relatively wonky American accent.
Yeah.
He has not gotten his Dick Cheney voice down yet.
Or his Batman.
And so, yes, as much as I absolutely adore Newsies, possibly my favorite Disney film of all time, but his American accent slips some there. Also, he's not a singer, which makes it fun for him to be in a musical. So anyway,
Fourth Doctor. What do you think of how 13 and 14?
Well, yes, our encyclopedia here says something that I think is a huge thing they have in common.
Hair?
Sticking things in their pockets.
That's true. That is true. I think to a very little extent, I think maybe 11 had some pocket things that are strange. But no, Fourth Doctor I think is the most likely to empty his pockets and have like 20 random things in there.
Yeah.
And I think because 13 likes having pockets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
all the pocket things.
Random people's sunglasses.
Yes.
Or hats or whatever.
Scarves, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I was going to say hat. He has a hat and she doesn't. But then, of course, she gets her hat from Kerblam.
It's a fez.
So, yeah. Yes. Which is a hat. I know what it was. It is still a hat.
It's Zeph spelled backwards. Look it up.
This feels like a really drunk version of our podcast, which is interesting.
We would call it Gallifrey.
Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about that.
Well, we can talk about it. We're being random.
Yes.
Well, we had advanced order. Well, we have photographic maps. Is that the best way to describe it?
Yeah.
So we have one of New York. So, the map is New York, and you put photos in where the words are. And then Jessica ordered some other ones for, like, we went to London, of course, so we have a London one. Charleston, so we have a Charleston one. And since we're going to Gallifrey 1, she advanced ordered a Gallifrey 1. But, darling, what did they send us?
One that says Gallifrey.
So, if anybody wants a Gallifrey mat,
we will ship it to you.
That's right.
And in the meantime, the lovely people on Etsy who made it for me are making me another one.
Yeah.
Because it was a perfectly reasonable expectation that I spelled it wrong.
Yes.
But I didn't. I went back and looked. So, yeah, it was maker error. So we're getting one that actually says Gallifrey.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to post pictures and see. If you like it, we'll let you know the website. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, so pockets, random things in pockets.
Pockets, yes. Again, this you get the stripes. The stripes on her shirt a lot of times remind me of the stripes on his scarf. Mm-hmm. They are brighter, but not dissimilar.
I think, and you'll see this with other doctors, but to me, and maybe people would argue it's maybe 1, 2, or 3 have this first, but to me, fourth establishes the doctor attention span, which is not much. Mm. The video we're talking like this, well, maybe and 13 can kind of space apart very quickly, and maybe I'll tend to. Wait, well, are we giving stars now? Oh, I thought I was doing points.
Oh, yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. I can see that. That sounds, especially when you said it, because it came out of your XX mouth. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh yeah, no, I could totally hear the Fourth Doctor saying something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that sort of wide-eyedness.
Yeah. She's there to have fun.
Yes. Yeah. And is going to be a bit of a space cadet. Mm-hmm. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, she's because I think, the first Doctor, he's sort of an accidental adventurer. And I think the second Doctor, who I enjoy, but I think, like I said, he is. I don't. Cautious is not the right word, but he is the most that has a human reaction at times. He can be afraid. He can, all these things which would be a normal reaction. But he's still brave and does things. But the third is a little more cool, a little James Bondy cool. But he's also very proper. But I think the Fourth Doctor is going towards the things, and what's this? And no, let's open up that. And how are you doing? And
pelting towards things.
And I think that's the 13th Doctor as well. She's just going to go up to the bad guy, shake hands, introduce herself, and say, "What's all this then?"
Throwing themselves at danger willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm. And I think and again, I think this is where you can maybe see some 11 aspects that'll come up. But, most likely she'll just walk into the, I'm thinking of like the second episode with the desert game show guy, and she's just sort of going up to him and, hey, oh, no, hello, don't ignore me, I'm right here. And what do we, what's this all about? And all these things.
Yeah.
So.
No, #no filter.
That's right. Yeah, she is there, and you will figure it out. Trying to think companions. Let's see. Most of 13's companions are clothed all the way, so not like Leela.
Yeah.
And then of course you got Sarah Jane, and then but of course the Doctor started to bring back the gang at the end there when he had Adric and Nyssa and Tegan. Sorry to remember them all. Of course, the Fifth Doctor would inherit all of them. But he sort of created the gang. Mm-hmm. But obviously the 13 is a little more involved with her gang.
Yes, and the Fourth Doctors were not all human.
That's true.
So.
They've all sort of had the professorial, the Doctor, if you will, to their companions. I'm here going to teach you things, And I think the 13th Doctor is also a teacher as well, right? But I think she's a little more involved. She's a small class size teacher.
Yes.
Whereas the other
Montessori teacher.
Yeah, whereas the other doctors can be like they're teaching a lecture hall, even though there's only one student there.
Yeah. That'll come back to haunt us with the Seventh Doctor, won't it?
Yeah.
Professor.
Yeah, there you go. How do you think she relates to her companion? Because as far as the teaching and the orienting them to alien worlds, because she is very in touch. Like, hey, we're about to go see a bad, dangerous thing. You can stay here. You don't have to come.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she is protective, incredibly protective, in a way that some of the others aren't. Mm-hmm. Possibly as a result of, Grace getting killed in the very first episode. And so she tends to be more nurturing in a way that a lot of them aren't. Although I would argue in some ways, particularly with Amy, 11 was nurturing. Right. And possibly you could even argue that 9 was with Rose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Less so with Mickey Ricky.
Yes. I'm trying to think of sort of the pacifism, which again I think is the wrong word, but we'll go with it, of the Doctor. Again, since I'm weak on the third, I can't really talk about that. 1 and 2, I don't know. I don't necessarily... 2, maybe a little bit I get that from. 1, he like almost killed a caveman in the first episode, so I'm like, I don't know that he's necessarily a pacifist. It's just that he's more above things. That's more of what he's about. Mm. But of the Fourth Doctor, he's the one who wasn't going to kill the Daleks.
That's right. Maybe he should have.
But yeah, and so the 13th Doctor has sort of definitely been teaching again, I think pacifism isn't the right word, or she will. Guns. That's a gun thing. It's most gunly oriented.
Yeah.
Or violence first. Yes. Violence, 8th is her mantra.
It's low down on her list.
Or 13, possibly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good job.
Yep, I try. So, yeah. Yeah, just the enjoying the fun, the going head on. Mm-hmm. Or hair on, possibly. Mm.
And the general camaraderie.
Yes. I wonder, it is always dangerous to predict, especially with the stupid scheduling of shows, but how long do you sense a 13th Doctor? As we're talking about the Fourth Doctor, the longest to travel the TARDIS.
I don't think Jodie Whittaker will do it much longer than 3 years.
You know, that seems to be the standard these days. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's more of a professional thing, you know.
Yeah, got other stuff she wants to do.
Right.
That said, I mean, when you've got series as short as these, there are lots of opportunities to do things.
I don't know if
in the off season, but you also, and I think this has been some of the Doctor's choices anyway. You don't want to get pigeonholed.
Though I think it's hard because even in the off season, you're still the Doctor. You know, it's not like you're like, I'm going to go do
well, and I think that's
Medea
the thing, isn't
again, or something. You're like, oh no, you're the
it
Doctor.
Was Antigone, but yeah. She make a much better Antigone than a Medea, I think. I don't know if she could pull Medea off. But yeah, and I don't know.
So, Jodie, if you're listening, Jessica is not casting you. But thank you.
Oh, no.
Thank you for your time.
I would like to play Medea. I would make an excellent Medea. I am just mean enough to kill my own children to get back at my ex.
Yeah, so.
Might have done it before, but, you know, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. Tennant, obviously, well, Eccleston, but his time was so short. Whether or not, how much work outside of Doctor Who Tennant did during his tenure.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out when he did
Blackpool.
Thank you, because surely that was during Doctor Who, but I'd have to look it up because he seemed like he was actually. I know we did this before of how long everyone was in there, but Tennant always strikes me as being almost second or third longest in the TARDIS. So,
Righto.
Let's go to our cuddlesome Doctor.
Yes, no cricket bat
that we know of.
That we've seen thus far.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to be sports bally.
No, she doesn't seem to be sports bally, which is so weird because all of the other Doctors have been. They've been all about the sports balling.
Well, the 11th Doctor figured out soccer pretty quickly.
He's figured out what now?
Football.
Thank you. Shameful. If Matt Smith were dead, he'd be rolling in his grave right now, mister. Yes, he did seem to catch on very quickly to the game of football.
I don't remember what he compared it to, and then he also was a champion, what was that? Like anti-gravity motorcyclist or whatever, when in that one episode where he flew up the Spire building. But yeah, I don't know that any sportiness we've seen yet from the 13th Doctor.
No.
She's a welder. That's pretty much what she likes to do.
She's a maniac.
But then again, it's not true because we've just talked about it for a while, but the Fifth Doctor is who I always think of as the crowded TARDIS Doctor, with having, which he just inherited the Fourth Doctor's companions, but still with Adric, Nyssa, and Tegan. That was always sort of the...
Yeah, so then he has to kill him off, Adric.
Yeah. Gosh, can you... man, what if one of those companions have to...
Well, I was thinking that, in terms of grace, the Fifth Doctor is haunted by Adric's death, and I think that the Doctor of the 13th is very much haunted by Grace's death. It certainly is a specter in the TARDIS, without a doubt.
Yeah, and it was, and I'd have to watch it again, but with Nyssa, her father was the one who was killed and taken over by the Master, and so he had to sort of have that, technically the grieving companion that he was dealing with, so, just like Graham and Ryan. Of course, a little more attention told to these stories nowadays, but still similar in that. So I think that's why he seemed always to be, to me at least, always to be closer to Nyssa than either Tegan or Adric or Turlough or even Perry. So yeah,
strong connection to David Tennant.
And as opposed to 13 is what you're saying.
Well, no, because 13, of course, did Broadchurch with David Tennant.
That's true.
And David Tennant married the Doctor's daughter. So,
Which is about the same as being in a...
Yeah, in a film with them. Yeah, I'm going with the same thing, practically.
Right. Yeah, but I think oftentimes I've heard people, both detractors and positive people, compare 13 to 5 the most. There's more... I don't know, there's a better way to say it, but kindler, gentler personality, the Fifth Doctor's tends to be a little more calm and, well, not always, but he's more thoughtful and all that, and nicer, but even though he's not at times, but that's sort of his reputation, I think.
Okay, interesting.
So because I think if you had to think of all the words that describe 13, there's more than this, obviously, but like nice is one of them. And I think if you look through all of the Doctors that we've talked about, the Fifth Doctor's mostly get the nice guy tag. Then I think 1 through 4.
As the predominant quality.
Right.
Yeah.
But to maybe phrase it in a more positive way, the more open or approachable. Because I think 1, obviously, he's not usually very approachable.
Curmudgeon-y.
Maybe second to an extent.
Although he's a bit goofy.
Yes.
And that can often be off-putting.
And 3's a little more the gentleman.
Yep.
And that's... 4th is also crazy. Maybe open, but again, I guess 2 and 4.
You have to get him to stop offering you jelly babies order to...
So that's his way of shaking hands. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5 is just, it seems the most like you, or the most like us, I should say. Well, these others seem...
The most human.
Yeah, maybe that's what it comes down to, the most human of the Doctors. But the most likely to feel what you feel and all that stuff. But also to be there to be, the Braveheart Tegan, all that stuff. He also pumps up his companions as well.
Pump
you
up.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so we've gone through a few there, so that may be enough.
Yeah, stick a pin in it, come back to it, leave it on a cliffhanger. Tune in next week.
Yes. So, well, first let us go to the TARDIS library.
When you close your eyes,
I go to the library.
go to the library now.
This time with a Big Finish production. We talked about the Diary of River Song Series 1 a few episodes ago. So, of course, now we're going to talk about...
The Diary of River Song Series 2.
Yes, this was released in December of 2016. And we listened to this during our Christmas holidays a few weeks ago. And so it was interesting. So we'll sort of go through it as quick as can. So this was 4 stories in this series, which I think was the same with the last as well. Mm-hmm. And so the first one was called The Unknown by Guy Adams. Briefly, a planetary anomaly, a scientific impossibility, a mystery to be solved. Of course, River Song expects to be consulted. She expects her valuable knowledge and experience will help the crew of the Saturninus unlock the strange phenomenon that has appeared in Earth's solar system. But what River doesn't expect is a stowaway. An infuriating little man calling himself the Doctor.
In a Scottish accent.
So what did you think of this first story starring Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor?
This one I found, 1 and 3 in this I found a little confusing. So I wasn't able to picture this one, I guess, as well. Because you've got the 3 people in the spaceship. The 2 women and the man, and the man is downstairs doing stuff.
Yes, the Irish guy or whatever it is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The engineer.
The engineer. But I wasn't 100% clear on why they were there. Like, they had come to examine this planet, but didn't realize they'd gotten really, really close to the planet, and it was screwing with their memories.
Yeah. So there's 3 intersections. There's the planet, there was the TARDIS, and there was the ship, which has these sort of time shields, because there's a temporal anomaly around the planet, so they have these special time shields, or whatever they call them. And so what happened was the shields kind of really didn't work or reacted to all these 3 events hitting each other at the same time, and so everything sort of collapsed, and that's why you sort of had this loss of memory, because the Doctor doesn't really remember, and the River doesn't. But I guess what confused me, as you say, is it started too soon. Like, I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with starting in the middle of the action, but when it's the first story on a series, I needed a little like, I was assigned to this ship, and I need like, why is River on this ship?
Yes,
where
I have
is
no
she?
idea why she was on the ship.
Yeah, I guess that was sort of my like, where at least like in the first one, she's on Earth.
And they come and
studying.
get her.
Yeah, and so there's a little more like, okay, she's,
There's build-up. This
just
series
establishing a little
also seemed to do just such complete flip-flops.
Right.
But we'll get into that further on.
And so I actually enjoyed this episode, because I liked, I tend to like the 7th Doctor. And the fact that not everyone's memory was working, sort of allowed some gaps of you know, well, what can I do, or what do you know, or why do I trust you, or, you know, all these little things, and it seemed to work.
And he says something about being the doctor, and she's like, no, that doesn't feel... It doesn't feel wrong, but it doesn't feel right that you should be the doctor. I don't know why I would know the doctor, but I don't feel like it's supposed to be you. That I found that quite interesting.
Yeah, and so as far as an invention, you know, and so since the engineer's close to the shields, which all the problem is, blah, 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 and then when they all fix it, it's sort of reset button in a way, so no one really remembers. So that's, of course, the problem with the River Song Diaries is as you go back in time with all these classic doctors, you know, you can't know, or at least, well, she can know. The doctors can't know her, because then it just screws up things even more than they already screwed up are. And so this one worked. Okay, the Seventh Doctor, but there's a memory thing, the time fix thing, and then at the end there's a little thing with the Seventh Doctor going something about a song or a river. What was it? You know, and I was like, okay, a little cute ending, and that's fine.
Yep.
So I like that one. So I actually enjoyed this one. So to the second one.
Yes, which was 529 by John Dorney. River has made a terrible discovery. Billions of lives hang in the balance, but if she can save just a few, then it might just help her solve the conundrum of Earth's destruction. But how can she win when survival becomes a race against time itself, a race against 529?
And this is a continuation from the first episode, where they land on the planet and they encounter this android, you know, for lack of a better word. And
the whole, everything has been destroyed.
Yes.
And I didn't understand necessarily the connection between the first episode and the second episode. Like, I'm not sure how they ended up where they were and when they were.
I guess she talked to the android, River talked to the android and was like, oh, I should go back to where you came from, or when you last.
Right, but how do they end up on Earth to find the android?
Vortex manipulator.
Okay.
Because that's why she goes, because in the story, this is actually, in my opinion, the best one of the bunch. Because it's just a very small, you know, play, audio play. Because there's only, I mean, there's a bunch of characters, I guess, but it's basically River, the young girl, who's actually her daughter, real life.
Alex Kingston.
Real life Alex Kingston's daughter plays the android.
Salome.
And then the two.
Salome. Do they pronounce it Salome?
I think I can't remember. And then the two older parents of the android, and then the gentleman.
Yeah, the boat guy.
Yeah, so there are five people basically in this character play. And so, you know, River has met this android in the future, so she goes back to when she was last activated.
To try and get some more information.
That's why I'm looking for you.
And that bit I got eventually. What I didn't understand was how she went from this spaceship where she was with
because they landed on the planet.
Okay.
In the first episode. Because
Right.
remember, it's the planet, the TARDIS, and the ship.
Yep.
So the ship, and they land on the planet.
Yep.
And they think it's, what do they call it? I can't remember. They don't call it Earth. They call it something Oasis, or...
Oh, okay, right, yes.
But
okay.
that turns out, I guess, to be Earth. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, the second episode is very sad. It's a very sad episode, of course.
It is. It's really sad because the android is the daughter of the two parents. That's apparently a thing that you do.
Yes. In this undefined time of...
Yes, if you can't have children, you can have an android.
Which they call a synthetic.
A synthetic, yes. Synthetic and her parents live on this very remote island, and they discover that communications are going down around the world.
Right.
Every time 529 hits a time zone, that time zone completely blacks out. And so River is really, she at first tries to save them all,
right?
But is ultimately trying to feed as much information into this synthetic,
right,
so that when she goes back later, she can figure out how to fix it. All of that's a little timey-wimey for me.
And so it's very, it's I don't ruin the ending here, but it's sort of, scary because, this 529 time zone obviously is sort of a ticking clock across the world coming to where they are. And so they eventually get on a boat and are trying to outlast the time zone, trying to go back to where it was, I guess, in hopes that it's just, wrapping around or something. And the story kind of goes from there. But it's a very, it's not a happy story, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad story. It's very nicely done, very, sweet, good characters, and everyone does well. So I mean, yeah, if you don't want to get depressed, don't listen to it. But if you're looking for a quality audio story, the second one is very good.
Yep.
Third one's a different story.
Yes.
Okay, for the third one, we have World Enough and Time. When it comes to bringing down corrupt and exploitive regimes, there is no one quite like River, until she arrives at Golden Futures and discovers that someone has already taken on her job, someone with almost as much style and panache as herself. The Doctor is about to get the shock of his lives. Oh boy. So, yeah, this one. And it's not just because it's the Sixth Doctor. I know what people are going to say. Sixth Doctor, Phillip, you already hate it. But it just doesn't make sense at all. But anyway, why doesn't it make sense? Okay, so the Sixth Doctor is there. He's like the CEO of this company.
Except it's not the Doctor, it's John Smith.
You know, his alias.
Right, but how much, I wasn't
that's the part.
clear about how much
yes.
he was aware.
Because I thought, okay, there's been some sort of event where he's confused or his mind's been altered, which would make sense, but they never say that. And so the more you listen to it, you're more like, oh, this is just the Doctor's plan that he bought the shares and is
except he doesn't know how long he's done it.
Yeah. But they never explain.
And he doesn't seem to be investigating anything.
No, he
really
seems to be reading emails and that never end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they never explain how he got caught.
I can't figure out how River ended up there, or why she ended up there, because the second episode of this doesn't give us any clues really about this company. And so how does she end up there knowing that this is part of the problem?
Right. And then maybe because they captured the Doctor, the Sixth Doctor, because, it's not spelling it. They're using his probability to power the...
Yes,
because they're building a planet that's like a duplicate Earth.
Yep, the whole purpose of the Golden Futures, I keep wanting to say golden showers, and I know that's incorrect, is that they're creating this new Earth, but in order to create it, what they use to power everything is untapped potential.
Right.
And so they have managed to con all of these people into sleeping their lives away and using their untapped potential, because they're sleeping their lives away. But then, as long as they are able to keep the Doctor there, it's this infinite amount of untapped potential. And so he is ultimately the one who is unwittingly powering this building of this fake planet, at which then they're going to destroy the real Earth and replace it with this
Elysium or
I
forget what it's called. Yeah. And I guess, I don't know. And to me, it's very confusing. Eventually, the story makes sense, or at least the plot of what they're trying to do, or at least what River's trying to do. Because there is some Doctor Who-ness, or, there's the sleeping pod, and there may be a monster, and it's all very Doctor Who-y. And then you sort of have, getting near the end without us trying to figure out how to sort of solve the problem and defeat the bad guys. And that kind of makes sense. But, I don't know, I guess a problem is that I think Sylvester McCoy can sound like how he did when he did the Seventh Doctor. Colin Baker sounds like how old he is right now. And so, and it takes me out a little bit. And also because, and this is just me, and maybe I'm just not being headcanon creative, I can accept that the Seventh Doctor doesn't have a companion at this moment, just because we never saw what happened between the Seventh and the Eighth. But we know that when the Seventh Doctor was regenerated, he was alone. So, he was companionless at some time. Whereas with the Sixth Doctor, well, I know there was Mel, and I know there was Perry, and so where are we meeting him in this time? And so, I needed that little bit of where are we, and that's just me. Maybe I need to get over it. But, yeah, so it didn't work. You could have not had this be the Sixth Doctor, and it still would have probably been the same story, I'm going to be honest.
And then we move on to
the fourth.
Because
if 3 wasn't complicated enough.
The Eye of the Storm by Matt Fitton. The great storm of 1703 approaches. The fate of planet Earth hangs in the balance. The only person who can save it is the Doctor, or River Song, Or quite possibly another doctor. Or maybe this whole situation is their fault in the first place. 2 doctors, 1 river, an infinite number of ways to destroy the world. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Oh boy. Okay, so this one, which in my opinion is not as bad as the third one, but is not as better.
I sort of enjoyed
Yeah.
it, but again, finding the continuity, like how did they end up in 1703?
No, I don't know.
And the 2 people that they're trying to save or kill or whatever's about to happen,
Yes.
how do they know? And what is the purpose of them? Like, do they have babies and the babies are the ones who create the Golden Futures place? What is it about those 2 people that is so important?
Right, and I mean, without spoiling, it won't make sense if I say this if you haven't read it or listened to it. But I guess something involving the girl when she was born in the house and they were there, and I don't know.
Yeah.
And then what happens to them at the end is also not sure I completely understood what happened to them at the end.
Yeah. I'm going to say the word void.
Yeah.
But then we also don't find out. So does this save everybody?
I don't know. This whole storyline was kind of weird.
It was incredibly convoluted and not tied together very well.
Because there's like 2 Earths, but 1 Earth, but
2 Earths,
but 1 Earth.
And one doctor wanted to save this couple, and the other doctor wanted to kill this couple, and both of those were going to be bad ideas, so they have to figure out something else. And there's some lovely moments, though, at the end between River and both of the doctors.
Right.
I enjoyed that. Little flirties, little, who are you? You've given me an amnesia drug. It hasn't had enough time to take effect, or you put something in my tea, so I dumped it into a plant. And I kind of enjoyed those bits.
Right.
Because she's trying to keep them, either one of them, from remembering her.
Again, that's always going to be the problem.
Yes.
Or the challenge, I should say. And which is fine. It's just an interesting challenge. It's sort of like, not to use a Star Trek analogy, but it's sort of like when Enterprise, the series Enterprise, encounters all these things that they should not encounter, like the Ferengi or the Borg. But the challenge is you have to do it so that they don't know it, and so... but they actually do it well, in my opinion. You can disagree. But anyway, with this, how you can do that, but then you got to kind of have to make sense. And so I did enjoy... I don't know, to me, and again, maybe just because my or my opinion of the 6th Doctor, I just think River and 6 didn't work. Like, I thought 6 was too into her without it making sense why.
Yeah.
But I thought 7 and River was very interesting.
Yeah.
That
I thought
was my almost favorite scene at the end was 7th and River, and he knows what's up.
He's dumped the tea in the potted plant. You're not drinking your tea, no.
And I'm not going to kiss you either.
Yeah. Yes, that was, there were some nice moments. So, there were some nice moments throughout. There were places where it was very enjoyable, and there were places where it was very confusing.
Yeah, so I would say, and I normally wouldn't say this, you could probably skip this one.
Yeah.
As much as the...
Although I do have to say, River felt more like River in these than I thought she did in the first sections.
Right.
Her sass shone through much more in these than they did in part 1. But,
Yeah.
Part of that may well have been because while she was doing these, she was also filming.
Oh yeah,
with Matt Smith.
No. I think this was during Capaldi. I think it was This was the Christmas special.
Oh, the Husbands of River Song.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
So she would go and film and then come do radio stuff, or the other way around.
Because they were doing this during the holidays, and during Christmas she's here because she's doing the Christmas. Well, actually, no, I don't think it doesn't literally show up. They're not literally filming during Christmas.
Yeah,
that's not right.
But anyway, there's something in the
out.
interviews about how she's filming Doctor Who at the same time.
Yeah.
So that may have had something to do with it. But
cool.
Yeah, check them out or don't. We're ambivalent about this one.
Yes.
But if you do check them out, and you have answers to our questions, please let us know.
Yes. So, darling, shall we continue this discussion next week of the 13?
I don't think we can leave our listeners on tenterhooks for longer than a week, my love.
All right. So, next week we'll be talking about 6 through 12 and how they...
Or-ish.
Yeah.
6 through, whatever. Because don't forget, we got to get to the War Doctor as well.
I mean,
and
that's
so-
a good 30 minutes on him alone.
Right? Ways in which the 13th Doctor
It's
is like the War Doctor.
Right.
Met the Daleks.
That's true.
Sorry, I'm prepping. Ignore that. Cut that out later, because I don't want spoilers.
They both have significant hair.
You don't want to spoil it.
I know.
Hashtag spoilers, sweetie.
Well, until then, enjoy reading, listening, and watching the Doctor's adventures throughout time and space.
This is BBC Television.